All right. Well, thank you for coming out.
Yeah, excited to be here, man.
And I've been looking forward to this because, you know, not just your background and all of that, but really the way that you speak. I'm just really impressed. And as someone who's making videos and trying to get better, I'm always trying to find people that when I watch them, I'm like, oh, that's so good. And I'm taking notes, not just what you're saying, but also how you're saying it and the things that you're tying in. And so for my own curiosity, I'm really thankful that you're here and I can ask you some of those questions from that writing perspective, your thinking, your process, and all of that. But I'd love to also know more about you and I mean, local boy, right? And born and raised. So thanks for hanging out.
I'm excited, man. I mean, all you said was zippy is like, dude, let's go. Like,
So for people that don't know you, can you share a little about yourself? Were you in grad and some school and
yeah. Oh, my name is Brandon Ahu. I grew up in Nu'uanu. I went to Kamehameha, graduated right before everything went downhill. So 1999, that was my graduating year.
Okay.
Everything 2000 and beyond, whatever. None of it. Yeah, 1999. And then went to USC up in LA. Finished up there and said, LA's nice to visit. And came home and started working in church ministry. And I've been doing that since about 2003.
Why did you choose USC from Kamehameha?
Yeah, good question. I was kind of undecided, undeclared. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Okay.
So I just applied everywhere. And there's this thing called the common application where you could fill out one thing and then just send it out to everybody. And so I was like, no doubt. So I sent it out. You had to supplement some with different essays and got into a few different schools. And it came down to a bigger school and a small school. And I wanted a small school because I thought I'm at a 400-person high school graduating class, right? I don't want a huge, crazy thing. But, you know, I was just coming to know Jesus and I started praying, like, for real, like, God, guide me. And I can't tell you that, you know, one day this feather fell from heaven and landed on the USC application. No, it wasn't that. But I was just praying, say, God, what do you want me to do?
Something to drink.
Oh yeah, water please.
Water.
Yeah,
Water.
yeah, water.
Orange Bang and water.
Oh, that's a good one.
So, yeah, I can't say, you know, some miraculous sign when, oh, this is the one, but just through prayer, it was, you know, God, I'm not sure what to do. So my mom and I were just at the kitchen table when everything was supposed to be turned in, yes or no's, and it was, all right, if I go to this small school, it'll feel comfortable, but will I have more opportunity in a big school with a lot more majors and learning opportunities? So we ended up going that way. And I remember leaving Hawaii with my suitcase, and when everybody could walk out to the gate, choke lays, getting on the plane with my suitcase and a 4-foot-long gravity board skateboard. That was it. And everyone else had their moms and dads, and I had my mom that waved goodbye. And I was like, wait, what? All right. So I end up in LA, and I'm by myself, and I have a binder of all the things to check off. And I get to campus, and I go to all the offices, and there I was. So, you know, looking back, it was God's hand moving me that way. In the moment, it was, I'm not sure what to do, and I'm deliberating, and there was some prayer involved, and a lot of good decision making, and looking back, it worked out. So I look back going, man, God, you were guiding me even when I didn't even know what I was doing.
Sorry, to go back to more like your experience, how was Kamehameha? Because as a public school kid, I have these perceptions of the different private schools here, you know, like, oh, Punahou and Iolani and Midpac and then Kamehameha. I see them on the hill. We were, you know, every day we come down from Kaneohe, so Kamehameha is right there on the left side. We see everybody turning left, going up. And so my perception of Kamehameha is probably very different from the reality. So what is it like to go to Kamehameha? You went from K through 12.
Yeah.
So how was that experience going Kamehameha?
Well, when the mahalo was too tight, it was kind of hard to go to school. Nah, just kidding. It was great. I mean, I really enjoyed being up there. Like, we knew it was a privilege. We knew that even having the opportunities that we had to be at Kamehameha were good.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't beat the lunches. So thank you.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
I heard the cafeteria is amazing.
All I need is Orange Bang, and it'll be even better. So, no, it was good though. A lot of good opportunities up there. Made lifelong friends. Really enjoyed being up there, knowing that you had people from not just your neighborhood, from all over the island, yeah, coming into the campus versus like a neighborhood school or something like that. Had its pluses and minuses in that sense, because my friends in my neighborhood didn't go to my school, you know. But looking back, like I really appreciated the cultural impact, also the musical side. Like we have song contests and you have to participate, you know. And then PE made you run a lot. It's like, oh, why am I running? But the emphasis on health.
Yeah.
So the holistic approach to education, I really appreciated. When I was there, there wasn't a strong, overt Hawaiian emphasis like there is now, but it was obviously there. So yeah, looking back, it was a really good experience, I thought.
Because yeah, as a public school kid, I'm thinking, oh, these guys, what they doing on the hill? You know, I'm thinking, they all, everyone could speak Hawaiian, or they chanting, or you know, like, and I heard about the cafeteria, I heard about the sports being really excellent, and again, as a public school kid, I'm just thinking, we're lucky, you know, we get public school lunch, and you know, afterwards we're going to McDonald's because we're still hungry, and, and sports are just whoever wants to join the team versus actually people trying out, and there's A, B, C teams, and everybody's moving up, and I know especially now it's so competitive with sports, but it's, as an outsider looking in, I'm like, gosh, I just wonder what it's like to go.
I don't know, because part of me was like, when I visited friends at public school, I thought, oh, you guys get pizza? This is awesome. Like, so I mean, there's always, you know, give and takes and everything. My mom was a public school teacher for a while. So I would be in her classroom on her campus, and later she went into administration, and like seeing the different sides of it, public and private and everything. But the friends in my neighborhood were all public school kids, so we just hung out that way. So these are the kids that I rode bikes with and fished in the streams and played basketball in the neighborhood, you know?
So you had like public school friends outside?
Oh, absolutely.
Of the school?
Yeah, all the friends in my neighborhood didn't go to Kamehameha. Like, so these are the kids that I grew up with, right?
Yeah.
But then other friends from Kamehameha were from around the island. That's kind of the trade-off, is that the friends you make at school, they live far away or whatever it is, like Kahaluu, have a beach, and it's like, does anybody live in Liliha? You know, like, no.
So do you think now it's different where with a lot of GEs and I don't know, maybe more private school, that you're not going to school with the kids in your like your neighborhood as much?
That's an interesting concept. You know, like when I look at my kids in the school they go to, we have to GE into the school we're at, which we appreciate. But it's not like on the other side of the island. It's just in a district on the other side of the pizza crust because of the way that it's all district out, right?
Yeah.
But we have friends who are in a similar situation, but we don't know them just from school. Like we also know them from sports or from church or from things like that. And then we happen to know each other at school. So watching my kids' social life is different. I mean, I grew up as an only child. So my mom, single mom, only child, was involved in whatever my mom was involved in. So when it came to extracurriculars, there was a few things, but I think because I didn't really excel at sports, but I really excelled at Super Mario Brothers, it was really just me, right, with my TV and everything, and with the neighborhood friends and the kids around the area. Yeah. And they come over and we play like that or Mortal Kombat or whatever, you know? So on the video game, not in real life. So with my kids, we see the social aspects and the GEs. That's actually a really good, interesting thing because there are a lot of things like that going on. But it's interesting to see that the friends that we're making are the friends where my kids have friends in a sport or at church or at hula or at something like that. Yeah. And we see that a lot more too.
Yeah, because I know for us, I wish it was more like that neighborhoods, kind of like the Sandlot type of thing.
Totally.
Where everyone's in the neighborhood and they all play together and they just hang out and they grow up together. Yeah. But for us in town, everybody's...
It's different in town, yeah?
You know, versus... I mean, even for us, Kaneohe side, most of my friends were all townies. Oh, yeah. So, because that's where I went to school, did sports.
You G'd over there,
but I know it's... Yeah, I wish that for him. You know, or for my boys, that they could go to school and then like their next door neighbor or whoever like in the neighborhood, we could all hang out and do. I mean, we try, but it's definitely harder. Yeah. I think these days.
I think that's the weird part. You know, when we say these days, because like, I mean, we're not that old, right? But Hawaii's definitely changed. Like the area that I grew up in, it was safe. I mean, we would ride our bikes around all over the place. We'd fish in the rivers and all that stuff. And I mean, honestly, now the rivers have a lot of homeless people. Like there's a lot of stuff that we can't control. And we see people, I mean, whatever you want to call them, right? Houseless, homeless, chronics. I mean, different people walking around the neighborhoods going, ooh, I don't feel as safe anymore. As a kid, we couldn't think twice about it, you know? So we see that and it's tough because, you know, I want my kids to have the good things that I had when I was a kid. These experiences that I went through, right? Good things that I was like, yeah, I did this. And there's just some things where it's not possible. Staying out late and calling out the window, time to come home for dinner. That's just not possible, you know? Also, not just for those reasons, but we now live in a neighborhood, not where I grew up in, but where the roads are so busy, you can't just ride your bikes and hang around. And the world has changed, let alone Hawaii, right? Our awareness of things that are not right and how people treat one another, especially with adults taking advantage of children. We're much more aware of these things, and I feel like our safeguards have gone way up. Not to mention I have a daughter, so I mean, like, I was a boy, right? All my friends are boys, and we didn't even think, but and again, to couch that a little bit, not to say boys are impervious to that, that's still an issue too, but yeah, our guard has gone much more up. And I noticed with my friends, it's kind of similar. We have these conversations of remember when and it's just kind of not like that unless you live in a really well-controlled suburb and you have a cul-de-sac and you have friends that you know, and some people have that. Just that's not our experience, especially living in town.
Yeah. Do you want that? Is that something that you're longing for, or is that something that you think is gone and we just can't get it back and we just have to kind of move on from those days?
I feel like it's so situational. Like, I think if we did live in that cul-de-sac, in that suburb, and we sat in 2 hours of traffic both ways coming and going to school, like, it would be good. And some of our viewers might be enjoying that right now, right? But it's a trade-off to what do you want? I think the areas, as things develop, especially in the urban core, like, it changes, and that change starts to spread farther, right? As things come up, as different populations are pushed out, not even gentrification, but we talk about the houseless population, how it moves more into suburbs in the areas, right? So I think that's difficult. But my daughter did say, "Dad, can we move to a neighborhood?" I said, "We live in a neighborhood." She goes, "No, I want to ride my bike." And I'm like, how would we do that? So I think that's another way of looking at it. It may not be particular to one area of the island, although I'm talking about downtown or the urban area, but I definitely think times in general have changed. Can we get them back? Possibly. It depends on who you surround yourself with, right? Who your neighbors might be and the people that we spend time with. But I think each generation looks back and says, it was better when I was younger, And that may or may not be true. It's just different.
For your kids, like, what kind of environment do you hope that they grow up as they're getting older, especially as you look back at your own experience growing up here?
I hope for my kids that wherever they find themselves to live or to go to school or to raise their family, that they would see that they're placed in this area purposefully to make a good difference. And let's qualify that. Like, to know their neighbors, right? And to see how they can be a positive influence on wherever God places them. Whether it's in a condo, a high-rise, a single family, in a dorm room, in whatever job they'll find. Because we believe that things don't happen just by accident, but that God orchestrates things for a reason. If we find ourselves in a particular place, then how do we make a better difference there? There's a story in the Bible. It's in the first book in Genesis. It's this guy named Joseph. So Joseph, through all these horrible things that happened to him by his own brothers, finds himself trafficked to a foreign country. In this foreign country, he thinks he's in good circumstances in a government official's household, but he gets falsely accused and thrown in prison. Through all these episodes of being in a foreign country, of being sold into slavery and trafficked there, of being in prison, he still asks God, what do you want me to do here? And he makes the best of it, and God uses him pretty powerfully. So I would want my kids, wherever God has them, to say, okay, God, what do you want me to do here? How do I make this place better and make a good difference in the people around me? So although Hawaii changes, although you'll have more high-rises down in the Ward Ala Moana area, right? Although the rail will come this way and things will happen that way. Although we'll have more people coming to the island and there'll be stresses on the infrastructure, jobs and homes and all these things that the legislature is trying to figure out how the future looks. I would want for my kids to say, all right, if I'm called here, if I'm placed here by God, how do I make a better difference in the people right around me? My immediate circle of influence, people that live next to me, in the cubicle next to me, that I catch the bus with, that I go to school with. Because we can't always change our environment immediately. It takes a long time to chop the tree down, proverbially. We can definitely influence the people that we have direct proximity with. And I think that's where the difference is made. So when we talk about Aloha spirit, a wonderful ideal. Looks good on hats and t-shirts. But really, Aloha is how we treat one another, right? It's how we love people that are right around us, that are different than us, that think differently, that vote differently, that act differently. But if we're in the same boat, we can choose to show Aloha, as uncomfortable as that person may be we can choose to be the person who leads with love. So we talk about Aloha spirit. I want my kids to really embody that Aloha spirit, because as a Christian, I believe that stems from the love of Christ that is placed within us. So even though Hawaii may change, we can still put these ideals that span generations, right? This idea of caring for one another. Even back from like plantation days, when you had different ethnicities all in the same groupings, that's kind of the roots of who we are as a people, right? Multicultural. There's this essence of, okay, we got to work together. We got to figure this out. And I wonder if that's where a lot of Aloha comes from, of knowing that although we're different, we can still choose to work forward together.
Let me pause and let me go grab the food because I'm getting hungry already.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm like, is he telling me to shut up? Because I can't tell.
Oh, no. No, that's good.
No. While I'm talking, I'm on this run. I'm like, I wasn't expecting to talk about this, but it kind of makes sense, I think.
So my cousin is a pastor. Do you think that when you tell people that you're a pastor, people get like nervous? Do you feel like people get freaked out when you say, oh yeah, I'm a pastor? Because people don't, not like you wear a name tag saying that, right? So you will beach or and then introduce yourself and then you say pastor, and then they get nervous, or?
Some people.
What's like the normal reaction when you tell them that?
It's usually pretty positive.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really get a lot of flack or pushback or, recoil or anything like that.
Well, that's good. And do you, as a pastor, as a believer, do you find yourself often when you're talking, bringing in like scripture and like theology into like normal talk?
Depends on the audience, depends on the situation. Oftentimes when it's different contexts, let's say friends from school, my son's friends from school and the families are hanging out, we just talk about life. I don't really bring up theology or like the Bible says or anything like that. It's kind of the wrong context, It's more just relating on life and building general friendship. I think if it arose in conversation, if they ask a question, sometimes people ask me a question, either spiritually and more curiosity, and I'll talk about it that way. Or if we're talking about something that we're deciding through or experienced, we definitely can share about we're trying to make this decision and we wade through all these things and I read the scripture that said and it helped us to go, so things like that. So I think it comes up naturally in conversation, but I wouldn't say that I look for ways to work it in by any means, I think it's more just appreciating people for who they are, where they are, yeah?
Yeah, that's good, because sometimes there's certain people that I had in the past, friends and even non-friends, when they talk, it almost seems like they're trying to weave it all in. And it's almost like over-spiritualizing everything.
Yeah, that's not always like, so I feel like, for people that are not in a church context, yeah? I definitely know that pastoral ministry and the calling to the pastorate is not just a job, right? There's definitely a calling that I feel like God has given to people to move in that way, right? At the same token, every believer, every Christian is called to represent Christ well. Now, how do you do that? Well, there's this one part of the Bible. I'm just going to do what you just said. And it says, we're all ambassadors for Jesus, right? So when they see someone who says they follow Christ or they're a Christian or they go to church, like, are we representing him well? And I feel like the biggest disservice we can do as Christians is not represent Jesus well. So I think that does a disservice to the kingdom of God, to Christ himself, when we're acting really poorly or treating people poorly or like all these things that are contrary to Christ and then pushes people away from him, right? But that being said, also at the same token, I also want people to see that we're also regular people trying to make it in this world, right? We just have a different approach, baseline, core value system, yeah? So when I relate with people who are from sports or school or whatever it is, I'm just trying to be a regular dude, right? Who's trying to figure out the best thing to do with his kids and, like things like that.
Going back to what you're talking about when you're talking about Aloha, there's one of the things that, for me, non-Hawaiian here, all Japanese, but being local, how I view Aloha is not necessarily from, I guess, a native Hawaiian perspective. Some people comment on that, like the native Hawaiian perspective of what that word means. I've always viewed it differently from a local perspective, which is most of what this channel is about. Oh, oh yes. Oh, this is just for us to eat.
Oh, just to eat?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Thought he was joking.
It's okay. But how do you view aloha as? Do you view aloha as unconditional? Because some people think, oh, if I just give it away, and this is you know, you can talk about a secular perspective, just everyday life. But I think some people think, oh, you just give it away and people will run all over you. Tourists, people who move here, and so aloha is only for people who respect me back first. And I guess how do you view aloha as you're talking about it? That's what I was thinking about when you pass it on to your kids. I'm from the perspective of it's really easy to be nice to people when they're nice back to you.
Oh, totally.
It's very hard to show that kindness and patience and understanding when they're not doing that on the road, you know, in the store, wherever it might be. So how do you view aloha in that sense? And I'm sure there's like the pastor question or response, but I'm more so looking just as another local guy, like how do you view aloha?
Oh man, that's a really good question, because it's really easy to love people who love you, or be kind to people who are kind to you, right? Or like when people return kindness with negativity or offense, it's like whoa, right? But then like, I don't know, I guess it comes down to like, is everything transactional? If you're kind to me, okay, then I'll be kind to you. Okay, so who's gonna lead? Okay, so if I'm kind to you first and you return negativity, then I'm gonna return negativity, right? So like, I think it just comes down to like who's gonna make the difference, you know, first? Who's gonna try first? Because if I'm always like waiting for, okay, I will respond depending how they initiate, right? Or I will respond depending on how they respond to my initiation of, right, interaction. Then it really puts us in this like manner of, okay, but I think a deeper question is, okay, who am I? What am I supposed to do here, right? If I'm supposed to make a better difference, then even with people who aren't showing kindness, I can let that cause me to respond with negativity as well. For example, I say hi to somebody and they go, and I go, fine then. You want to be like that, right? So, or say, hey, how's it going? And they go, I go, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, like it kind of depends on how we want to do this. So, you know, there's this phrase that's kicked around, it's on t-shirts, don't mistake my aloha for weakness, right? And it's like, okay, that makes sense. I think there is a point to be made about boundaries and how we show love and compassion to others. We cannot let people just walk all over us like we're a doormat and all this kind of, no doubt about that. But how do we lead with love, and then how do we care for people who couldn't give two pennies about us, you know? I think that's kind of this idea that aloha is wide for, I think it's for everyone to choose to give. Otherwise, we're just looking, what can I get out of this? You know, or you're not going to be good to me, fine then. You know?
And have you seen that change because this is mostly falling on locals, right? This is not falling on people who like tourists and other people. I would never expect the tourists to, I mean, they can show kindness, and I've been on the mainland, I've experienced wonderful people who I would say, oh, you know what aloha is, not because you know like the term and the technical definition, but you demonstrate just amazing generosity and love and understanding. For when I was a local boy in Windsor, Colorado,
Totally.
knew nobody, and they were kind enough to open their doors to talk story, to take care of me when I had nobody. But I guess, yeah, when it comes to this idea, it's always been hard for me because it's something I feel a lot of people have closed off. Maybe in the past it was more wide open and more giving, but now maybe people have been too burned or too hurt. Or do you think that it's by definition unconditional?
How do you define unconditional? What are you referring to specifically?
That you just show a kindness no matter what. Even if they don't deserve, especially if they don't deserve, but you just show it no matter what. And how you act isn't so circumstantial how the other person acts or treats you, especially in a non-job way. Because if you're a hotel employee, I mean you kind of got to, but you're doing it because that's your job. You're getting paid. But if you're just on the road, you're at the beach, at the mall, you can open the door or just pardon certain behaviors or things. I guess I've always thought and I've wondered, is it by nature, is it unconditional, or is it something that is, like you're saying, more transactional?
Yeah, I think unconditional is a tough word because we think about like unconditional love, like will you love me no matter what I do or say or go through, right? But when I hear you saying it, I feel like what you're referring to is, can we choose to show kindness and concern for our fellow person, in general? And I think that should be a true thing for us. Now, is that happening every time? No, I think there's different factors that affect us, but what's your baseline? If our baseline interaction with people is, I can show kindness here, right? And if that's like a generality, then I think we're moving in the right direction. But sometimes, to your point about, without using these words, you're referring to people taking advantage of kindness, So I think to your point of people taking advantage of kindness, I think we put our guard up. So we're trying to look at, with all the rise of online scams, right? Of text message scams, of all these people trying to scam the elderly, like all these horrible things. And granted, those may be coming from overseas, but still locally, there's this guard up now. That's why the world feels different nowadays. So what are we gonna do about that? Are we all gonna lead with our guard up with people around us, right? Even at Foodland, right? Or something like that. Or can we lead with love? Now we're over idealizing it because we still need to have both the discernment to understand, there are people that will not be kind, they'll take advantage of us. So we need to have our guard up. And yet, generally speaking, I can choose to be kind. I can lead with kindness. So leading with that love, with that aloha, if you're defining it as unconditional, I'd veer towards yes, because that's like a baseline of how we interact with people. And we've got to choose that. Otherwise, we will devolve into self-preservation and just looking out for ourselves. So I think there's a aloha concept. As you mentioned, it's not necessarily exclusive to Hawaii, although we call it aloha and there's a depth there, even the native Hawaiian sense. One on the mainland, right? Southern hospitality, or like how people care for one another. Really what we're looking at is this kindness, generosity, humility, right? As defined by the values, and even the word aloha, akahai, lokahi, olu, olu, haha, right? All of these ideas of how are we supposed to treat each other. So I think with those things, it's who do we want to be as a people? And that's a wide statement that comes down into individualities of family units and people within the family. So how are we going to treat one another? Okay, well we gotta lead with kindness and love. I think generally speaking, if we and the people of Hawaii can choose to do that with one another, it's going to be a better place to live, right? That's what people see when they come here, and it's not even the hotels. It's just how we choose to be kind with one another. Now, putting the Christian hat on, this is the love of Jesus, who loved the stranger, who loved the foreigner, who loved his enemies, the one who said, hey, you've heard it said, love those who love you, but I tell you, love your enemies and pray for them. People go, wait, what? No. He goes, no, because that's how God treats everybody. God loves people who love him and people who hate him. God loves them. And when you do that, you're showing the love of God. So I think this idea of choosing a baseline of kindness, it totally matters. And if we're calling that aloha, then absolutely.
Do you think those are two separate things, or is that the same thing? Or I guess another way to put it is, can you have that unconditional love or unconditional showing of aloha without the Jesus stuff?
My vantage point to that question is that you can definitely show kindness, generosity, and sacrificial love outside of saying you're following Jesus. I think people that are atheists or irreligious or anything like that can show kindness, generosity, and all those things. Now, that being said, as a Christian, I think the source of all of that is the God-given thumbprint that he's placed on all of our hearts as human beings, whether we acknowledge him or not. So I think this desire that we have to do that, it flies in the face of Darwinian survival of the fittest. Because if it's just looking out for me, then forget you guys. So it actually comes against this idea of oh no, we're just in it to take care of ourselves, right? The best and the brightest, survival of the fittest. So it's just about what I can get out of this, right? So I think people that have nothing to do with God or church or religion and still show that generosity, from my perspective, that comes from a creator that they don't even acknowledge.
So there's definitely questions. You're talking a lot about God and how that plays such an important part of your life, your family's life. I am so curious about how you, as a speaker, I guess a writer, because you're putting these together, how do you do it? What is your process? Because I used to teach and I would put together a lesson, but I would use the same lesson every single year. So, and I would have 3 or 4 cracks at it because I would teach 3 or 4 classes in a row. By the 3rd or 4th class, it's pretty good. But in your role, you're doing this, like you're putting together like a 40-minute talk every single week. How do you do that? What is the process? And then also, how do you weave in humor and jokes and other things to keep the audience's attention? Because you have adults who are going through stuff, who are tired, some don't want to even be there, people that distracted. How do you put all that together?
Okay, I've heard it said like this. The Bible is kind of simple, although it sounds kind of complicated. Simple in the sense where there's some core lessons and truths that it's coming across. And it's not just axioms and how to live a better life, right? It's things like trust God when it's hard. God is with you even in the difficulty. Jesus has better. So it's almost like when you go to a restaurant, whether it's Zippy's or whether it's the Four Seasons Lanai, right? It's, you want beef, chicken, or fish? Beef, chicken, or fish? We just prepare this way, prepare it this way, or this way. This special this month is fish prepared this way, right? But the base of it, beef, chicken, or fish. And when it comes down to it, what we're presenting in the Bible is God is worth trusting. He has a plan for your life. You're called to more, right? There's these core things that we're teaching. We're just packaging it differently depending on what people are experiencing through that time. So if you're not talking about anything people aren't experiencing, why would they listen to you? I mean, the reason that your channel does so well is because you're addressing questions people are asking or feeling or experiencing, right? So you're hitting a nerve. I believe that the Bible has answers for pretty much everything that we go through in life. And it can help us with what we're living through to live our best lives. The only question is how we're going to take those truths and apply them to feed that need people are feeling. So providing answers to questions that people are asking, even if they don't even know they're asking them. So, for example, hypothetically, my adult daughter is making a bad choice in this relationship that she's in. When is she going to realize this is not good for her? Right? That's a weight people feel. My son is jumping into this group of friends, and I'm not sure if it's good or bad, right? There's this uncertainty there. The Bible has answers for those things, of how we can walk through those discussions, those decisions, and then we want to be able to take those truths and apply them to where people are at. So I think when it comes to writing sermons for the weekend, it's taking these core truths and going, okay, where are people at with this? What are people going through? And how can we address biblical truth to real life situations so that people go, oh, wait a minute, I'm actually dealing with this. I want to hear about this. I think the YouTube era is so interesting because the videos that get all the hits are the ones that people are like, oh, I want to see that, right? It's the attention economy, right? So I think in the church, our challenge in a good way is how can we capture people's attention to see that God is not just a legitimate option, He is the best option for what they're going through based off what He's teaching in Scripture. Now, relating that to real life is storytelling. It's taking concepts or things whether personally lived through or through other examples, historical examples, everything from the sinking of the Titanic to my son learning how to swim, right? Like, how do we apply these truths to illustrate what the concepts mean? So the humor is just to keep people engaged and to move people further in toward the idea of what we're going to. So one of my, I like to follow and watch good communicators, both in the church and outside of it. In the church, my dad is a great communicator. Other pastors that I watch are excellent communicators. Pastor Wayne Cordero, I came up under him, watching him preach before. One thing that he said was, he tells jokes in sermons, so when people are laughing and their mouths are open, he puts some truth in it. I thought, oh, that's actually really interesting. So it just depends on what kind of humor do the people in your church appreciate, because it doesn't always hit where you go. But watching other communicators outside of church, so like stand-up comedians are amazing communicators. How they memorize their sets, how they bring ideas for full circle, right? How they hit relatable humor that people go through. So watching people like that, and then watching people who are good orators, who can speak from lecterns or from in large audiences, or even TED Talks, and how people drive engagement, right?
Yeah.
And touch a nerve. So I think when it comes to church ministry and preaching, and I'm grateful to have a pulpit to be able to share God's truth for applicable issues people are going through, and then making it engaging enough, whether that's through story, emphasis, touching the heart, or humor, to bring people in to see that their lives can change because of what God is saying about it.
And so, like, do you normally work off of a script? Like, are you writing it out, like typing everything out? Is it more of a bullet points, or how does it all kind of come together?
It's a mix of the two. So I have a lot of bullet points, but then I also have strong areas where I need to emphasize something. I'll write out the whole line.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Whew. It's hard not to eat.
Nice.
Nice.
Katsu over here.
Oh, thank you. Do you have the Korean sauce?
Korean sauce?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Want to pray?
Sure.
Thank you, Lord, for our food. Thank you for the way that you bless us, that you fill us, and that you use us for your purposes. Amen.
The references that you pull from your messages, it's mostly from you growing up in like the 90s, right? And so do you ever worry that older people or younger people may not get it?
Oh, totally.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, totally. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, that's okay.
I feel like a lot of Hawaii humor is like that though, right? If you grew up here, you get some of these jokes. If you did not, like for my wife, a lot of the humor, a lot of pigeon stuff, so I have to explain to her, oh, this what this means, and that's okay.
I mean, what's tough about that is the more targeted, the more effective, but the more targeted, the least wide it goes. If you go wide, you can't have those kind of references because you're trying to reach a wider audience. But when it comes to references or illustrations or songs or humor, right? But I noticed that at our church, we have a lot of people that are 30s and 40s trying to figure out how to be parents, right? In this middle generation of how to make it, how to give their kids the best experience on a tight budget, living in, Hawaii in the way that we do. So the humor kind of goes that way, because that's where I'm at, It's a lived experience.
Yeah.
We saw an ad recently on TV, and it was for skincare. And they showed an old 90s clip from a sitcom. And as soon as the sitcom came on, my wife goes, oh, I remember that. And then they cut the sitcom, and this spokesperson came out and said, hey, do you remember these characters? If so, you might need the skincare. And we went, oh, that's exactly, they got them. It's exactly what we said,
Yeah.
And I think for us, when it comes to sermons and preaching, it's, hey, what do people jive with? What would they get, So understanding that most of our audience is from Hawaii, right? And the age groups that I described, or older, so they'll probably have some reference to it, yeah? And then, honestly, as a communicator, what do I appreciate, Because if I appreciate, I can authentically bring it across.
Do you do a lot of non-church speaking?
Actually, I don't. I speak primarily in churches. Been invited to speak at high schools, various things, but it's not really wide.
Is that something you'd be interested in doing?
Yeah, I wouldn't be adverse to it. I know the context is different. So let's say let's say I'm speaking to a staff team at a bank. Wouldn't reference scripture overtly and make that the base of what I'm building off of, but rather scriptural principles that are guys more as like wise ideas. So I'd be interested though.
I think that would translate pretty well, just with your style of communicating, a lot of the Hawaii references, and just an understanding of the local audience, local population here.
Yeah. What's fun is being invited to bless a business. Now, granted, it's in the pastor hat, but when doing so, it's not just pray and it's done. I'm able to have the employees and the stakeholders there and just share an encouragement, right? So speaking to that. But yeah, outside of church, and that's where as a pastor, we're invited to do weddings and funerals. And it's not always overly religious, although I do incorporate scripture because I'm a pastor. But you get to talk to people who don't want to go to church, but they're here for this event. And you get to share with them good scriptural principles, right? There's more than this life. Like, God has made us for more than this. We have to be wise about the time that we live in. Do we love the people that we have in our lives, or are we just thinking, one day I'll get around to it? So let's do this now. And weddings, like talking about sacrificial love and how we can't just define love by how we feel, because feelings change, right? So about commitment to one another and sticking to what we really believe, I think that matters. So at weddings, when we talk about that, it's not just for the bride and groom, although it is, it's also for everyone there to hear about this love that God has for them. So it's outside of church, but it's still churchy, but so.
It's such a unique calling or job, because there's the spiritual element to it as a pastor. Then there's the I guess vocational aspect to it. Like it is a job, and then it's so tied. It's also, for some, almost like a family business. Right? Like there's a lot of family relationships that are tied into that. So I guess how do you navigate that, where there's that aspect to it, and for all the pressures that you feel, and I'm sure that the job is not just Sundays, right? There's a lot of other stuff that goes on throughout the rest of the week that people don't see. Like it's not just what people see on Sundays. So how do you deal with all of those pressures or those stresses? Because as people look at you, they're expecting, you got to be perfect. You can't have problems, and you can't have bad days. But everyone has bad days. Everyone gets stressed.
Totally.
So how do you deal with that?
I think a lot of it is good perspective and good support. So good perspective. We talked about aloha, and part of that is humility and realizing, I'm just a dude. Like, I've been saved by grace, right? I found a better way to live. I'm not better or holier than, right? But I definitely have this spiritual support in Christ in me. So when I talk to these parents from my kid's school or whatever it is, it's, I'm just a regular guy, but I found this supernatural help. So I love that I have that. I talk about the pressure. It's, okay, Lord, I need you. And this is beyond me, and I need you to step in and speak into this. So it's a lot of relying on God. When people come to me with their problems, it's helping with wisdom and talking about it, but then also humbly recognizing there's one Savior, and it's not me, right? I can help to lead that way, but it takes the pressure off of me to have to fix someone's problem, because I can't fix anybody's problem. I can point them in the direction, right? Sometimes roads that I've walked down, or wisdom that comes from the Bible, but really recognizing I have limitations, right? I'm not a professional counselor or therapist, I can give biblical guidance, and then there's a time to pull the ripcord and refer out and say, hey, I think I've taken you as far as I can go, but I can still relationally support you. Yeah. So I think knowing your boundaries is good perspective, so you know when to say, I can definitely step in, or hey, I think someone else would be better at this than me. And then it's support. It's having the support of my family, my wife, my children, my parents, and then also the support of good friends around me who can hear everything that I'm thinking and dealing with, because there'll be a lot of stuff that's brewing. Because although people think, you just work Sundays, right? That's kind of the running joke in pastoral ministry. Don't you just work Sundays? It's like, no, dude, there's so much going on with planning and preparation and meetings and board of directors and sermon preparation and discipleship models and counseling, and there's the role is pretty wide. Yeah. Some studies say that one of the most stressful jobs is university president, and there's another one, and then pastor, because you just wear so many hats. So one meeting, you're the fundraising lead for this new initiative, which are raising funds for whatever it is. The other meeting, you're leading a director's meeting or you're leading a staff team, or you're dealing with someone who's a key volunteer who's going through a marital problem. And so you just wear these different hats everywhere.
So do is there a lot of burnout in that role?
A lot of pastoral burnout.
Well, why do you think that is? Is it because it's not because of a lack of calling or qualification, right?
I think it's knowing how to rest. I think that's the perspective and support concept. Is if we have the perspective that, hey, I need to take adequate time to rest. I need to take time to recharge with God and not just do God's work. So, unfortunately, there's different axioms and adages in pastoral ministry, and one is, don't let working for Jesus cause you to spend less time with Him. So the whole reason I got into this is because Jesus changed my life. And that didn't mean I should be a pastor, but He changed my life. I was like, oh, this is real. This is real? Oh, this is real. This is cool. I started volunteering in ministry, volunteering with high schoolers. I'm going, oh, I really enjoy this actually. I like seeing how their lives change because of Jesus in their heart. And then the more I did that, the more I was like, oh, I actually really enjoy this. Like, I like talking to students about the Bible, leading Bible studies, started preaching a little bit. I actually like this too. Oh, this might be a viable career path. And then getting opportunities and affirmations and confirmations from different people led me into this. But the very thing that got me into this, my relationship with Jesus, is the one thing that's going to sustain me for the long haul. When we see pastoral burnout, a lot of times it's pastors not taking adequate and appropriate time to recenter their heart with the very one that saved their heart. So it's rest. It's there's a churchy word, Sabbath, taking time out, turning off the phone, and spending time in God's creation. That really recharges the batteries to keep going.
Sorry, I know you got to eat.
Speaking of recharging the batteries, this is good. Oh, I haven't had this katsu in forever. It's tasty.
Is it different? Is it like different from other kind?
There's like more meat in it. I can see the meat.
Well, yeah, sometimes they're so thin. I remember when we were in Colorado, they would make chicken katsu. And because one of the guys was from Hawaii, so he knew how to make it. And so it's like on, I think it was Thursday nights or something. But yeah, it was mostly breading around it. And it was super, super thin. And then instead of katsu sauce, they had ketchup. But can't help, so.
Better than nothing.
So what do you do to unwind?
Yeah,
You know, because you're talking about rest. It's not just sit on the couch. Maybe it is for some people. Just sit on the couch and just watch stuff.
TV.
Yeah, but like what kind of stuff do you do to recharge yourself so that you can, you know, you can be better pastor, you can be better husband, better dad?
Yeah, man, I find like I'm the worst version of myself if I'm not taking time to recharge the battery. Yeah, it changes with age and stage. Like in one stage of life, it will be something, another thing will be another thing. So at this point, thank you. With schedule and kids sports and all that, I find what really charges battery is taking time to reflect on life, write stuff out, pray, read the Bible, reflect on that. A lot of reflection and introspection, and for me, letting God meet me where I'm at as I ask these questions or process through issues, that really helps me out. Otherwise, I'm just going from one thing to another thing and deciding this and moving there or dwelling on something without really thinking about it, just kind of stuck in the muck, you know, versus, you know, hypothetically, if I'm stuck in quicksand, like I can just look at it versus I can, okay, what can I do with this? What are my opportunities? You know, so really reflecting, that really helps. Another thing is my getting into creation. So sitting out, I go surfing, sitting out on days when there's waves and when there's no waves, I just be out there to realize, oh, I'm pretty small. Like, it's a big sky, it's a big ocean. Like, okay, it gives me perspective on my problems. That really helps. So doing that, schedule date nights with my wife, just so that as much as we love our kids, having time just for us to remember like how this whole thing started, like really helps us. So I do those kind of things, you know, read the Bible, reflect on life, right, pray, get out into the water recreation, and then like hang out with my wife, like have good conversations with her, like even pray together. Like that brings a lot of life. You know what doesn't bring me life? Playing golf. I don't know why, it's just Self-inflicted, man. Because every time I hit one good shot, I'm on top of the world. But that's the nature of golf. Because the next 5 are going to be really bad.
Yeah. I used to play junior golf. So I grew up playing golf.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if it's the toughest sport, but yeah, it teaches you a lot. There's so many swings, and the mental part of that game is so big. It's such a the split second you hit the ball, that's it. The ball just goes off, physics. But a lot of it's just the mental stuff between the shots when you're walking from one to the next. So much strategy, the pressure. Sometimes you gotta make the putt, or you see the lake or the pond and you're like, okay, but for some reason the lake looks super big now. Like it's almost as big as the fairway. It's starting to creep into the fairway. And you're like, oh gosh, especially if you're playing like the lake on the right and you play a slice and you're like, oh man, that's my weak side. I've had so many times where I have to like purposely not even look at that and just pretend it's not even there. Or else the ball just magically will go to the OB, or it's gonna go in the lake or the bunker, and yeah, it's a good game.
Why did you stop playing golf?
Mostly time. I mean, volleyball and golf were the two sports.
Oh.
Absolutely loved them. I played them from young kid time to college. Absolutely love them. It's the thing that most of my dreams are about volleyball or golf. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird how that is, and I think it's because I love both sports. I was okay, golf I was pretty good. Volleyball was okay. Played high school, but I was playing from the time I was about 10. Volleyball, golf a little bit before that, and played in college. Not for a team, but just for fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just wish I had more time. That was the thing. The money stuff, of course, I know how much golf can cost. But man, it's the time. You go out there to practice.
Yep.
Yeah, you gotta practice, or else it's less fun when you go on the golf course. Trying to hit, and it's like you're sculling shots, you shanking shots. It's like it's not fun. But yeah, I think if I had more time, I would play golf, and that's one of the things I would look forward to in retirement. Just going out, just play 9 holes, or whatever, twilight.
I know you play volleyball.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not too tall, but I was playing back row and then libero before it was adopted here more.
Yeah. That's cool.
But I love volleyball. It's one of the things I definitely think about. Almost, I guarantee every week I dream about volleyball.
When's the last time you played?
Man, it's been so long. I played probably maybe 10 years ago. It was only like a for fun league, and it's weird because as the older that I'm getting, I think I can. I mean, I used to be able to block on a boys' net, men's net. I could actually reach up and block, but now I think I can do that. But I'm like, I don't even know if I can block on a girls' net. I mean, it's like, man, my legs not as strong as they used to be, so my mind thinks I can do it. But
My legs aren't as strong and my body's heavier.
and I get tired faster. So before I was like, oh yeah, I could play 2-3 hours volleyball, and now I'm like, I'm sure if I jumped in, I'd be like, oh. After one game, I'm like, oh, okay, gotta rest, or gotta rotate me in or out, because yeah, you just get tired. But yeah.
Oh, that's fun, man. So we were playing church league for like 10 years ago. We were playing in a church league. It was super fun. Yeah. And then like my 40th birthday, Kara goes, what do you want to do? I was like, I just want to play volleyball. She set up a net at Ala Moana, Magic Island, barbecued, we're playing, having a blast. And like, I was like getting everything ready, greeting everybody, and I just want to go play. So we get out there, and like midway through the first game, I feel my back go, dook, and I was like, nah. So I played through it. Dude, I was laid up the next week. I was like, dude, this is 40. This is a brutal introduction to 40. Oh my gosh. I mean, I also skateboarded back to my truck, which is parked really far away. It's a bad idea. Dude, it was so bad. But dude, I love playing volleyball. It's so fun. I'm not good at it, but like, I can barely hit the ball, but it's good just to play, be out there, right?
It's one of the few sports where like I found everybody can kind of participate, especially because there's that rotation.
Yeah.
So it makes the game fresh.
Yeah.
'Cause, you know, like you play basketball, everyone kind of has a certain position or a zone. Even baseball, right? You have certain positions. But with volleyball, because of the rotation nature, you get different perspectives of the court, and then of course, you know, even if you don't get the ball, you get a chance to serve. So you're gonna touch the ball. So, all right, let me close with this one. For you, was there ever a moment where you were confident and in your decision to become a pastor, to step into this role? And then did you ever feel like or experience any doubts, especially as you were starting out? I mean, I don't know how it works where you feel the call and you're like, all right, I'm good. And then things just step into place. You're like, oh, perfect, right? There's the golden seat and you just step into that. But like, I don't know how it works. So, but did you ever have that moment where like, okay, I feel good about this, despite any types of obstacles you may have, and that doubt of, I don't know how this is gonna work. Because I would think one thing is, I don't know how am I gonna make a living, right? How am I? What do my friends think of me? Especially if you didn't grow up like in church, right? Because now there's like like your small kid time friends, or for you like your mainland friends, and then you're a pastor, really? And then I guess that type of opinion, I guess, of you. But were there ever moments where you felt like, I don't know, like maybe I gotta go do something else, or I don't know? Do you ever experience that now?
Yeah, I think after the pandemic, there was a survey done nationally of pastors, and there's a lot of them, a large percentage that were burnt out, and a large percentage left ministry. And I remember feeling different times in pastoral ministry, whether in my early years or even in the middle of like, should I be doing this? Like there were different crises of being able to provide. That's one part of it. Another part of it was just job stability, if you want to call it that, But I think one thing I couldn't run away from was I really feel like I'm supposed to do this, like to serve God in this capacity. Whether I get paid or not is not really up to me. It's kind of up to wherever I'm working at. But I knew that I was called to serve God in this way. So there was a season in my early 30s where I was very close to walking away from vocational ministry. So still serving, but finding a paycheck somewhere else. But that happened through a confluence of issues, of staffing, of changes, of this, of that. But thankfully, things moved in a way where I didn't have to go that way. And yet, it was a good heart test for me. Okay, why am I actually doing this? Well, I'm not doing this to get paid. Like, it's nice to get paid, but I'm doing this because I really feel like God has equipped me or designed me to do this kind of ministry. In fact, we have people at our church who do ministry they get paid somewhere else, different job, different place. But what helps is that they know what God has asked them to do. So I think that purpose, take the word calling out, which seems so mystical. Just what is life's purpose about? I think that's wide enough for people who are religious or irreligious. It's what is my purpose? I think for me as a Christian, I found it's, okay, God, how do I serve you, and how do I make a positive difference for you wherever you place me? And how have you uniquely gifted me to be able to do that in this kind of place? So for me, those things converged into ministry. So there were doubts along the way. And the way that I got through those is kind of the way I got into this. A lot of prayer, a lot of asking God, okay, God, what do you want me to do? Make it clear. And then being wise in the sense of asking questions, good mentors, parents, and then processes of elimination. Going, okay, so it's not that. Okay, so it's not that. So it's somewhere over here. Okay, let's figure this out. So I think that's helped me along the way. And even when there are things that come up now, I don't feel the questions I had before, because as I get older, the questions change. But now it's, how do I be most effective and keep my heart clean and be in this for the long run? So rest, right? Recreation, things like that. Because I feel like you've called me to this. This is the purpose you've designed me for. And I'm walking in your purpose for me, God, then it's probably the best place for me to be versus something that I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, that's so good because the idea of like a calling and stepping into that and that perfect fit. I'm sure there are other people in not a church job, but just their current job.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they're called. Oh, thank you. They don't feel like they're called to that, but they just got to do it just because they got to do it because it makes money. Thank you.
Yeah.
But it must be very fulfilling to be in a job where you're like, this is what I'm meant to do.
No, I'm grateful for it because people often say, how do I find my calling? And it's like, well, let's demystify calling, right? Like, God has a purpose for all of us, but it doesn't mean that your paycheck and your purpose are always going to align. You know, some people say, you know, just find what makes your heart sing and go do that. It's like, bro, that might not pay the bills, you know? Yeah. So some people work in something that is not very exciting, right? Behind a desk, data entry, whatever it might be, but they volunteer with the Boys and Girls Club and invest in the life of young people. And that's like purpose. That's great, right? In other ways, so that's paycheck and purpose are different. And sometimes they converge. And that's great too. So it's just finding the right place for that to happen is really like that magical convergence point. So.
All right, well.
Speaking of magical convergence points, look at the two ends of this apple napple folded together perfectly.
I know it's good. It looks so good. I know you gotta head out, but I don't know if you want to take a bite and then you can head out, or you want to take it to go.
I could take it to go.
No problem. But thank you. I really appreciate you coming out, despite all the craziness.
Dude, this is the best.
That's the process of this, and I hope people can appreciate. It's not in a studio, you know. It's not a soundproof studio. It's like
it's real life.
It's like just eating.
It's a busy diner, restaurant,
and it's good. It shows people eating out and enjoying food. But thank you for sharing all of that, and I hope that whoever's listening, whatever their background, maybe they found it interesting, inspirational, insightful.
Hope so. Yeah.
For me, I definitely have. So thanks. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, dude. This is a good time.
Thanks. All right.